Good morning. I will start today a series for the month of August of consisting of tutorials about translucent canes. It is a fairly vast subject, and a lot of things are discovered every day about it, but I will just touch and show you the most known techniques. Now, the most, one of the very first translucent canes that has been known, and it's been known for years and years, and the most known variant is the one in the Polyzyne magazine, is the so-called chrysanthemum cane. While I am doing it, I will talk to you a little bit more about the translucent canes, and actually Saturday, when I will have my little live event about wrapping up the month of July and what I will be doing in August, I will talk more about my plans for August. But right now, about translucent canes, let me start this one, explain to you what I'm doing, and then I will talk to you a little bit in general about translucent canes, and then in future tutorials during this month, I will show you what I'm talking about. For the chrysanthemum cane, let me grab a piece of wax paper, because you know that I like to work on wax paper, so I don't have to keep unsticking my clay from the working surface. You need to start with a sheet of translucent. Now, the original tutorial in Polyzyne tells you to do this on a medium thickness. I'm actually, and I'll tell you what the original says, and I'll tell you how I am doing it, and then you can see the differences. I'll put a link to the original so you can see the differences. So you're supposed to get one sheet of translucent, one sheet of Premo white pearl, then one sheet of tinted translucent, your color of choice, and then a few pieces of cane remnants. And I have chosen, as you can see, the end trimmings of that pretty whimsical feather cane that I did a tutorial about I don't know, a couple weeks ago. But the way I am doing it is my base translucent is on a, now remember, my pasta machine is backwards than most everybody else's. It's on the second thinnest. My white Premo is on the thinnest. My my tinted translucent is on the thinnest. Then I will actually put some gold foil and then my scrap canes. So while I am doing all this, let me tell you more about translucent canes. There are several uses for the translucent canes, and one of the most common ones are floating slices. And you have seen me using that technique in a couple of my tutorials. One of them was that summerish necklace that looked like it had orange slices all over the place. And another one is the one with the beautiful, delicate spiral earrings. And that is where I also used translucent canes that were floating. I've put over the other translucent, and it looked like they were floating in there. So the base of it is that you make a cane. Most of the time it's flowers, but you don't have to make just flowers. I mean, you can make any kind of pattern. You can make spirals, you can make a lattice, you can make you know, just plain rolls, wrapped, translucent rolls wrapped in opaque clay. The idea is that you have to cut those canes in very, very thin slices to create the transparency effect. And then you place them on top of a regular background, be it a solid color or be it a pattern or whatever. And that way the translucent slices seem to be floating on top of the background. There are a few tricks on how to do that. I'm not going to say successfully, because in this case everything is successful, but how to achieve prettier results, and I will talk about that when I will do the tutorial with that. But that is one of the uses. Another use is to make pebble canes, and until I do a pebble cane, you can watch Gail Thompson's tutorial on that. She has a tutorial with a very, very nice pebble cane. Then other uses, translucent clay, if treated properly and if you pay attention on how you're working with it, can very well give you a glass-like effect. So it is used a lot, tinted in various colors, of course, on covering glass, because it gives that stained glass appearance that is very, very pretty. And I shall do a tutorial on that as well. But as a general idea, you have to know a few things about translucent, and I'm just touching them briefly because I will make a tutorial about translucent, just translucent, not in canes or in anything else. But it has the tendency to plaquing. What does plaquing mean? And all clays do that, but translucent, because it's translucent, it's very visible. It will, while you're conditioning it, there will be tiny air bubbles that get in the clay. And then, of course, when you bake it, you will have little dots and all kinds of white areas that will show. That is something that is actually desirable when you are trying to do a gemstone imitation technique, because you have, especially in crystals, you have all those fracturing areas, and the plaquing in translucent looks exactly like the fracturing. But in other circumstances, you don't really want to have that plaquing effect. So what you are doing in order to what you can do in order to avoid the plaquing effect. For one, if there's a lot of humidity in the air, you will have more plaquing happening. And the more, keep in mind that the more you will get the translucent clay through the pasta machine, the more plaquing you will get. I mean, that is a given. There is no avoiding that. So if you want to work on something and get as little plaquing as possible, what you can do is, instead of rolling the clay through the pasta machine, use your acrylic block. And you've seen me reducing a plug. Instead of rolling the clay through the pasta machine, kind of cut it into a little block and try to act like the never need machine. Just keep turning it and pressing it and turning and pressing, and that way you'll have less air getting into the clay. When it comes to the sheet from the pasta machine, if you slightly pull on it before using it, some of those little air bubbles will actually pop, and you will get rid of them. So I am almost done with my little cane, and I think that I need a few more of these slices for a nice effect. So give me just a second, because I still have some end here that is not that terrific. So I would need about 3 more slices. And another thing that you need in order to do this cane is something to cut, actually to make indentations with, but not a blade. Remember, whenever you try to do any kind of indentations, especially like for mokumegane, it's a good idea to have something that's not very cutting, because your intention is not to cut the clay but to distort it. And if the object you're using to cause those distortions is blunt, then it will pull more on the clay and will create a better distortion. So in the original tutorial on this, the gentleman, and I forgot his name, I'm so bad. I will put the name in the video description and the link, of course, to that tutorial. He uses a credit card. Well, I don't have credit cards. I don't. So what I'll be using is this little Mod Podge scraper, because the end is kind of bluntish. It is thin enough to make nice indentations, but thick enough to not act like a blade. So I guess I am pretty much done here. I have only 2 more places to put, well, 3, because I don't want to have any bare spots. So I am using pieces of a slice to cover all these bare spots. And of course I will make real quick some kind of a piece, a pendant or something, a bead, and bake it to show you at the end of this video. So I have this, right? Now let me get a piece of wax paper so I can roll with it. Of course you can use your brayer, but I prefer to do this because then I don't have any kind of sticking to do. So you flatten it. You flatten it enough so it can go through the pasta machine on the thickest setting. Kind of does look pretty as it is, doesn't it? And if you use other type of scraps, kind of make sure that you choose colors that would be in the same color range, you know. I mean, don't use too many colors that would be clashing. Don't use blacks, that is for sure. I mean, unless you're going for a specific effect, don't use black. And yes, I will make a tutorial separately with the regular chrysanthemum canes, several types of canes that you can make to achieve the chrysanthemum aspect. So I have this now. I will roll it through the pasta machine on the thickest setting. And if my camera starts moving, that is Seamus again, who's trying to play with it, because that's how he rolls. And he's been trying to get my attention all morning. So I have this, and I will cut a straight edge here, and then I will start rolling it with a lot of care to not accumulate air pockets, of course. And I will make all this into a log. Yes. Yes, I know. He has something to tell me. He wants attention. Really? You're not kidding? And let me get rid of these ends. Of course, you can use it as it is, like this, because it looks beautiful already. Let me try and get this closer. See, it looks beautiful already. Seamus! Shoo! And it would make a beautiful, beautiful slice for other projects. So you can make this cane as it is, but for the purposes of making a chrysanthemum cane. So now I have my little plug. I actually want to get it a little bit, just a pinch fatter, without losing any kind of shape on it. And to achieve the whole petal look, what you do, you get your credit card, whatever you decide to use for slicing. Now remember, don't use the blade because it doesn't pull enough, even if you use the non-cutting side of it. So first you do 4 imprints like this, and you want to go all the way to the center. So press real hard. Don't worry if the cane gets all distorted, because that's exactly what you want. So see, I need just 1 pinch more. There we go. And then turn a quarter turn and do another one, again going all the way to the center. Just 1 more, and another quarter turn and go all the way to the center, and another quarter turn and go all the way to the center. And check if you went far enough. And now I'm going to do indentations in between these quarter turns. So you can actually press it back a little bit. And again, make sure that you go all the way to the center. It's okay if you don't go perfectly straight on it. Try to, but it's okay if you don't. And you know, it makes all these indentation waves that are very, very pretty. And then what you do, you just put your cane back together. Make sure you didn't accumulate any air pockets. You can reduce it a little fatter if you want. Just make sure you don't have air pockets. That's the whole deal. And of course, there's a few more uses for translucent canes, and I will touch up on those during the month of August. And not that I'll only be doing translucent canes all the month of August, but as I said, I will talk about that on Saturday. If you want to ask me any kind of live questions, it's going to be at, I have planned it for 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Alright, so I have my little chrysanthemum cane, and I think I did pretty good indentations, I hope. Now I'm going to start cutting. I know that my little Mod Podge scraper didn't go all the way here, so probably the very edge slice is not that terrific in terms of indentations. It's still good looking, but not that awesome in terms of indentations. See? Because my scraper didn't go all the way. And as with any other round cane, you kind of want to roll a little bit to not to flatten it too much, because now it's, of course, if I leave it to cool off a little bit, it will be much better to slice, but I will try to roll it while I'm cutting, so I don't distort the slices too much. And now they came up beautiful. See? And once these are baked, they look even more gorgeous. Let me put this back here. Because you will have all these areas of translucent that become pretty much transparent, and then areas of opaque clay. And I will show you the difference, because there is a difference if considering what you put this slice on, of course, because you have so much translucent. In the original tutorial, the gentleman makes little hearts. I will not make little hearts. I will actually make a little combination of something else and a few beads. And see how the slices change, because of course of all that scrap I have used. But it's a nice thing to have a chrysanthemum scrap cane, translucent scrap cane in your drawer there, because it's always a nice addition when you're doing a project and you don't know what else to add on it. Now I will make a little round pendant on white to see how it looks on white and how it looks on scrap clay. And should I do it like this? Oh well. So I will be putting my little slices on the white, and you can overlap them if you want. I usually don't like to overlap, as you've seen in other tutorials of mine, because and especially when you're talking about translucent, it does not give a nice effect. But if you are kind of cutting little inserts like this, the canes, and especially when you're talking about flower-like canes, it will make them look like there's one behind the other. So it makes everything look even prettier. But as you can see, there is a very nice effect to these chrysanthemum canes. And one more. Let's see. One like this and one like this. And then you can use again the brayer or the roller. I will use the roller. I have just a little spot here that has no covering. But do the roll in all directions. What is this? It's on this side. So you don't get too much distortion in just one direction. There's another spot here. And as I showed you before in other tutorials, how to make sure that you cut, if you need to recut your piece after you put a veneer on it, the easiest way to do it is the way it is sandwiched between these two wax papers. Remove the back one, then place your cutter and do the cut. And then you can put back that wax paper and turn it around, and you have your pretty nice cut piece. Let's see, this is how it looks like. Now I'm going to make two smaller rounds. This time I will be using scrap clay, and I have here some greenish looking scrap clay. I'm going to take a piece of it and then place some slices on the scrap clay, because if I would want to make a necklace like this, I need two smaller ones here. I have all kinds of remnants. Let's see. These are almost the size of the slices. And then I will take a few more slices from the cane. And this time I don't think I'll even need to rearrange them. And again, I'm going rolling as I cut. Well, pretty much trying to avoid distortion of the cane. And then you can just flatten it a little bit to make it bigger. And see, I did have some air pocket in here. I'll just place a spot. I think I should have had a pinch more coffee this morning before starting to work. But yeah. And you do the same thing as with the bigger one. I'm flattening this one as well. I have to press on that cane a little bit more. And again, I am taking another piece of wax paper, putting it on top. Then I will roll and change directions. So I get everything pretty much in the distorted in all directions, so it will equal no distortion really. And I will do the same thing, removing the back and then doing my cuts again. I think I used the smaller one. Oh well. This just went way larger. Now I use the one that's smaller than this. And now I will be baking these on domed surfaces, probably on my faithful soda can buttons, and you will see how different it looks depending on the back. So see you in a little bit after I have baked these. Okay, so here we are. The pieces are baked and I sanded and varnished them. So you can see the difference, what a difference it made to put them on differently colored backgrounds. On this one, you can still see the very prettily the tinted red translucent. So this was on white, and you can see all the tinted red translucent, while here that was on that greenish scrap clay. See how the red translucent kind of got lost in translation. So yes, it's very important what type of background you put this specific cane on. And as I said, I will make at a later time a regular chrysanthemum, actually not just one, several chrysanthemum canes. But this is how you make the famous, well-known, I mean, this is how I make the famous, well-known translucent slash scrap clay chrysanthemum cane. And just to show you something else, if you go on this type of cane, without placing the white pearl and without placing the tinted clay, if you roll that first translucent sheet on a thicker setting, and then you just place scraps of clay, and preferably in more vivid colors, and then you roll it and you do the same thing, you get this beautiful glass like effect. See, it looks like those glass marbles, and it looks really nice in whenever you make beads or whatever you want to make. So here we are. This is my the first part of my translucent canes tutorials. Remember, you can support me by becoming my Patreon patron or by sponsoring me. I have a donation button on my blog and also my Amazon wish list. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Happy claying!